Get my God goggles on. So this
And they're yellow.
and they're yellow because God goggles have to have wisdom. So it's the month of wisdom. So anyway, yes. So yes, I'll take them off, Dave. I won't need it. So we, some of us went and helped BJ purge her garage yesterday, and well, it's been more than just yesterday. We've been working on it anyway. So when you do that and you purge a eye doctor's garage, you never know what you're going to find. So we found a couple of God goggles. We found all kinds of stuff. So it was fun. But anyway, so welcome everybody. I'm glad you're here. So this talk, of course, has been written a couple times. I finished it on Thursday, which was a big mistake because I should have known it'd be rewritten, but it wasn't rewritten again until this morning. So because I woke up and I was just had all this energy around me that it just felt like I was being small and like it was trying to push through me. And so I got some more information today, but I just wanted to start with a little story. So the first time I walked into a Unity church was 31 years ago. And I cried. The minute I walked in the door, I cried because I knew I was home. And something told me that being there was going to change my world. That was 31 years ago. And it was Samuel that brought me into that building. And I began to hear statements like, you are whole, complete, and perfect. You are made in the perfection of the divine. The divine is in you and you are in the divine. You are a master creator and you have the ability to change your world. And I heard these statements, but which now I know are absolute spiritual truths. But 31 years ago when I heard them, I could not accept them. Not when I was told that all my life that I was a wretched sinner and that I was born in sin. I would die in sin. And unless I gave my life to a Savior that then decided if I was worthy of the forgiveness or not. So, but when I began to try on these statements and really live them and learn them and embody them and practice them, then my life began to change. And as my mind opened, my heart began to open. And then my world opened. I was a struggling single mom of teenagers. And every day felt like a battlefield. I was thinking about this part of the story, and I thought, should I tell them the other part? So when I first moved here, my husband and I in Phoenix were divorcing, and my dad came and got us with his hay truck. He had, the long bed hay truck. So he brought his hay truck, loaded my kids and I up, and brought us to Grand Junction. And they were living in Palisades, so we lived with them for about 9 months until they built their house in the Redlands. And so then we had to leave. And so we had to move and find our own place. Well, I was, again, single mom, uneducated. I was working like 3 jobs just to, make it. And so we ended up in what we called Little Beirut, which was part of Clifton. Yeah, I know. Sorry. Not your part. Definitely not your part. No judgment. No, because it could have been anywhere. But it was just happened to be in Clifton, and but we always tease that there was more police cars than regular cars, because it's funny, yeah. Anyway, so and we had strippers on one side and drug dealers on the other. So that's what my kids grew up with. That's how my little they were 10 and 12. And that's who raised them because I was working all the time. So needless to say, they had, they were very worldly, my kids. But they turned out great in spite of me and all of that. So, but the unity, so this is what I got this morning, and it was so strong. The unity movement, it was not intended to be a religion. It was not intended to be a church. It was a movement. I mean, when you think about the movements that are across the world, they are fueled with energy and passion, right? So this unity movement swept across the Western world. And do you know why? Because it opened a portal to a power that had been so diminished and so distorted, yet so revered and so feared. It pulled the curtain on the great Oz. And when it did, it exposed a small man who had created a vengeful, controlling, exclusive God that didn't really exist. It revealed a truth that we in the Western world had probably known in the deepest part of who we are, but we never were exposed to it. This truth was that the force that animated the world was not a single entity who punished the people who inhabited the world. It was a beautiful, orchestrated power that embodied all. It is all there is. And we are an expression of that source, that force. And so when I was in Unity, the first person, probably the first life-changing thing that I was really exposed to was Catherine Ponder. How many people have been exposed to Catherine Ponder and changed their lives? I mean, it was amazing. Catherine Ponder, she was a Unity minister and a really prolific author. And her teachings, so I was able to, through her teachings, I was able to live on very little income with a peace that really surpassed all understanding. Like I should have been stressed out all the time. But I was able to move beyond my limited thinking and start to live into the truth of who I really was. And so she was a vibrant Unity minister and authored over a dozen books, teaching us how to live from our true identity in spirit, focusing on abundance, prayer, and extensive work with affirmation and visualization. She's now 99 years old, and she's active on social media. She's still with us. I couldn't believe it. She's 99. Yeah. I mean, she changed my world. I had her affirmations taped up everywhere. I had my little box where I paid my bills, and when you opened it up, I had the affirmation that all my bills are paid in divine timing with money left over or something like that, you know? And it was just, and I survived through her affirmations and her teachings. It was amazing. But back to walking into that Unity church, it wasn't Samuel that brought me into that building. It was divine unfolding working through him that brought me into that building. He just understood the assignment. He understood it. He got it. Because he was open and he had something inside him that he wanted to share. And that's what brought me into that building. And that's who we are. We are divine unfolding for those that we need in our lives. Joel Goldsmith was one of the original old New Thought writers back in the 1800s. And he says, God fulfills itself as our destiny. He was an influential American spiritual teacher, mystic, and author. He taught respect for everyone's journey, which is their destiny of God's unfolding through them, and that God is living through each one of us. And Lisa turned me on to him, and that's one of our books. Actually, his book, Practicing the Presence, is one of his books on our list. But Unity teaches us that we are one. That is a basic Unity teaching: oneness with each other and oneness with our Creator. And we're not here in this world to do it alone. We are here to do it together. We are here to walk each other home. How many of us would say that someone in this room has influenced our lives in some way for the positive? And you know what? It's mostly just showing up, singing out of tune, whatever we're doing, and just loving each other for who we are. Nothing fancy, just our human, the brutal, the barbaric, the beautiful, and the beneficial. We're all of that, Panache Desai says this really funny thing. He said, we are doing our humaning and God is Godding. But it's really important to remember that we are just doing the humaning and God is Godding through us, and so it's more important ever now to have that connection. And not because of what's happening in the world, but because of, first of all, I think the whole just the whole social media, the whole, what am I trying to say? Just the electronics, things that are in the
Technology.
screen, technology. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. Technology. The technology that's in our way between you and I, because I see you through a screen now. There's less and less people who are really connecting on a soul level and on a personal level, and it's all energetic. We're missing that energetic thing. Those spiritual interpersonal relationships with each other, that deeper connection. So Panache Desai said the other day in one of our meditations that we all have the same light shining through us. And I loved that because I thought that is such a cool thing, because in the Course in Miracles, we learned that, and in Unity too, we learned to see the Christ in each other, right? And so now I get to look at people in Walmart and I get to see a light shining through them. And I think, that's my God. That's my God shining through you. And I just love that. And then the Course in Miracles tells us that we are surrounded by mighty companions, reflecting the truth of who we are. And I love that image because it means that none of us are meant to do this alone. We're here to remind each other, to reflect love, to hold peace when another cannot, and to walk each other home. In the Course in Miracles, in the 31 chapter in the text, it says that so many companions join with you in your journey, reflecting the truth of who you are. And my favorite is, if you knew who walked beside you on the way you have chosen, fear would be impossible. And can you imagine fear being impossible? Can you imagine fear being eradicated? Wow. And it can be in us, which then can be eradicated in the world. A friend, yeah. Anyway, so a mighty companion, according to the Course in Miracles, is anyone who helps you remember your true self, even if they don't know they're doing it, right? That could be a friend, a stranger, somebody here in our Unity community, or someone who challenges you. And we are mighty companions for each other when we see the Christ in each other, when we hold the vision of wholeness, walk beside each other, not ahead, not with some spiritual ego, because we're just humaning. We can't take credit for the godding. We can only take credit for the humaning. And we reflect truth when someone forgets. We offer something that the world needs when they walk into this place. A safe place to question, a place where they're not judged, a place where their wounds are not fixed but honored, a place where they can breathe again. Just remember walking into that unity, and it was like, I exhaled. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's safe. It's safe in here. A place where they're seen as whole, complete, and perfect in their humanity, even when they don't see it in themselves. Think about what it feels when someone really, truly sees you. And if that hasn't happened, what would that feel like? What would it feel to be in the energy of somebody truly seeing you? And this is what we have to offer the world. I witness it in this room all the time. One Sunday, Deb was talking to Katie. Gretchen was talking to Holly. And you could just see the love exchange and the support that they were giving these young women. It was amazing. And I love it. We see the Christ in each other and spend time with each other. There is healing. We pray for each other and each other's loved ones. We offer methods of healing, compassion, and non-judgmental regard for each other. And most importantly, we share the truth that we are one with each other and one with our Creator. Sometimes we're not even aware of the impact we have on others. So we get to choose in the moment. Do we choose love or fear? Compassion or judgment? Acceptance or rejection? And remember, when you reject, you're rejecting a part of you, an aspect of you. Jesus taught us in the Sermon on the Mount, when he gave us what we call the Golden Rule, to treat others as we wish to be treated. But beneath that is even a deeper truth, that we are not separate. The love we extend returns to us because we are the same. We are part of the same life, part of that cycle. We cannot give what we do not have. So, what does it mean to walk each other home? Not just physically, but spiritually, emotionally, human to human. Think about that. I didn't think about that. Physically walking somebody home. I mean, when I was in school, my mom, of course, would never drive us to school. That was a luxury, right? So we walked until I saved enough money to buy my own 10-speed. And then we rode our bikes. But we walked, and I walked. We had a path, right? I would start at my house. I'd pick up Sherry Lineberger first. Then we would go to the Scroggins house where Janice and Melanie lived in the basement, and they were stepsisters, and they were getting ready, so we would spend time there. And then we would go pick up Sharon Phipps, and then from Sharon Phipps would go to Sandra Johnson's house. And Sandra's mom was a big Christian, so we had to pray before we went to church. We hated that. But she had to pray over us before we went to school. School. But anyway, but how much fun it was to be able to walk each other home and walk each other to school, that camaraderie. We knew somebody would have our back. We always stopped by the convenience store and get a big old page 3. Oh, anyway, so Ram Dass was probably the one that really started this. We're all just walking each other home. And I love that because it means that none of us have the answers. We don't have to be perfect. We only have to be present. We only have to remember love and remind each other of what we have forgotten. For him, home didn't mean a physical place either. It meant returning to love, remembering our divine nature, awakening from the illusion of separation, resting in God, spirit, or pure awareness. So the phrase is really about spiritual companionship. Ram Dass had been a psychologist and an academic before his spiritual awakening. And he eventually realized that healing doesn't come from controlling or changing people. Instead, it comes from presence. And walking each other home means sitting with someone in their suffering, listening without trying to solve, loving without conditions, being with, not doing to. And one of Ram Dass's key teachings was that everyone you meet is part of your awakening. Even the difficult people, especially the difficult people. They show us where we still judge. They show us where we still fear. They show us where we still have not forgiven. So walking each other home includes those we love, those who challenge us, those we misunderstand, and those who misunderstand us. Ram Dass saw spiritual life as relational. We awaken together. We awaken together because love is experienced in relationship. We awaken together because compassion grows in community. We awaken together because we mirror the divine to one another. Sounds like a mighty companion to me. The mystical layer of walking each other home, the mystical layer is that we are already home. But we don't know it yet. So the journey is not about becoming something new. It's about remembering. And the way we remember is through love. Because remember, we all have the same light shining through us, and we're all walking each other home.
So I have a little story about those yellow goggles. So I was in Julian's car with her, and she was driving with those yellow goggles. So that was an interesting experience, but they're clear, so she could see really well. If you look at this slide up here, it says there is a light in this world, a healing spirit more powerful than any darkness we may encounter. We sometimes lose sight of this force when there is suffering, when there's too much pain. Then suddenly the spirit will emerge through the lives of ordinary people who hear a call and answer in extraordinary ways, and that is Mother Teresa. And so prayer is an expression of love. We are praying for someone. We are actually seeing the highest and best in them when we pray with them, when we offer prayer support. We are actually seeing the presence of the divine, the presence of God within them. So many of you here in this room pray as a way to be of service to this ministry, especially if you're up here platforming on Sunday mornings and at other times. Some of you use prayer with individuals who are in need of someone to listen with compassion and affirm spiritual truth and the presence of the divine. I was a prayer chaplain at a Unity church a few years back for about 6 years. It was a large Unity church. We had anywhere from 25 to 35 prayer chaplains at a time. And talk about a connection experience, being with that group of people, being really close with them, supporting each other, and working together to offer prayer support to the congregation. So it was a really special time. We would pray on Sunday mornings with people. We'd be available, and we also had a list of congregants. Each chaplain had a list of congregants, and we would call those people every month and pray with them on the phone. The other thing that we did as chaplains, we had a service on Wednesday evening before the main Wednesday evening service, and it was totally run by chaplains. So we had a little chapel in the church, and the chaplains would run this service like a prayer service, but we would be speakers. And afterwards, everybody could stay in their seat that wanted to receive like healing touch. And as chaplains, as we were serving, we would go around and stand behind those people and put our hands on their shoulders and send healing energy to them. So it was a really special time. It was a special time for me. It was a special time for everybody that was a chaplain to be able to come together and work together in that way. So very special. So a prayer chaplain, the service that a prayer chaplain provides is deeply spiritual. A prayer chaplain is a leader who answers a call to hold sacred space, listen compassionately, and pray affirmatively with others. They are trained in the art of affirmative prayer, Unity's approach to prayer that affirms divine truth rather than beseeching or pleading with God. Their ministry revolves around presence rather than problem solving. So here is the essence of the role. There's actually 4 different practices. The first one is holding sacred space. So that means creating an atmosphere where the presence of God is felt and honored. And the second practice is listening with compassion. So this person comes to you and says, you know, I'm dealing with this illness. I just found out that I have cancer, and I'm really looking for a healing prayer. I'm feeling really bad about this. So it's about listening with compassion and really giving all of your attention to that person. And here's this word again, offering non-judgmental attention and empathy. Praying in the affirmative, affirming spiritual truth and divine presence rather than focusing on lack or limitation. So it's always affirmative, it's always positive, and maintaining confidentiality. So that was a really big one. So whoever we were praying with, we didn't go around and tell other chaplains about this person, what they were dealing with. We kept that totally to ourselves. And I find that that still holds true for me. It holds true for me in my job, in my personal life. If someone tells me something, I really would like to hold that in confidence and not pass it around to other people. So we're honoring the sacred trust of those who share their hearts. Prayer chaplains are not counselors. They are not therapists. They don't give advice. They do not try to fix anyone's situation. Instead, they serve as long reminders that each person already carries the presence of God within them, and that divine wisdom, strength, and peace are always available. And just to go back to Joel Goldsmith for just a moment, this is the book Practicing the Presence. And I've had this book for a while, and I skimmed what it looks like. I know, look at it. I know. It's been around the block a few times. I have skimmed through it. There's a lot of quotes in here. I've never actually read it word for word, but I've referred to it and gone to the quotes. And now someone mentioned it to me, I don't know, maybe a month and a half ago or something. And I went, oh my gosh, I should pull that book back out. And I pulled it out and I'm reading it word for word. And it's actually, each chapter has a principle in it for you to practice. And then you're supposed to practice it for a week or a month or however long you want. And then you go on to the next principle. And it's all about seeing God in everyone and realizing that you're God. And then I look at you and you're God. You have that same God in you that I do. So if I do something to you that is hurtful or harmful, I'm actually doing it to myself. So it's really about love. And here's a quote from it: I am you. My interest is your interest. Your interest is mine. Since the one life animates our being, the one soul, the one spirit of God. Anything we do for each other, we do because of the principle that binds us together. So, as a prayer chaplain, you can approach being a prayer chaplain in that way, that we're all one, that we're all one soul, we're all one spirit. The beauty of a prayer chaplain is that it transforms not only those who receive prayer, but also those who serve. Many chaplains report that their own spiritual lives deepen profoundly through the discipline of daily prayer and the commitment to hold space. They grow in compassion, humility, and oneness. So for community members, the impact is very profound. To have someone look into your eyes, hold your hands, and affirm your divine wholeness can be a healing experience in itself. And so affirmative prayer is one of the primary principles in unity churches. It is seen as a way to align oneself with divine principles and experience a higher level of consciousness. Because the more you are supporting someone using affirmative prayer, the more impact it has on your consciousness, and your consciousness actually raises when you do that. The heart of affirmative prayer is the understanding that everything in the universe is interconnected and that we are all constantly in contact with the divine. We just don't always know it. We don't always feel it. Sometimes our thinking mind gets in the way. Sometimes our emotions, our fear, sadness, worry, anger, things like that get in the way. And we don't always know that we're in constant contact with the divine. But when we can quiet our minds and let go of the emotions and the feelings, I hate to say negative feelings, but fear and sadness and things like that, we can be more and more of that, aware of that divine that is within us. And there's a 5-step process of affirmative prayer: recognition, but recognizing and acknowledging the presence of the divine within; realization, when we realize and recognize our oneness with the divine and affirm our inherent worthiness to receive our desires; unification, where we affirm the desired outcome as already being present and available in our lives; For example, instead of praying for healing, I would affirm, I am now whole, healed, and well in body, mind, and spirit. And then being grateful for the realization of our desired outcome even before it physically happens. And release. So the final step is release, where we let go of any attachment to the outcome and surrender to the divine wisdom. It is important to release any doubts or fears and trust that the divine is working behind the scenes. So we also have other spiritual practices that unity recognizes, like meditation, affirmations, visualization. These all strengthen our connection with the divine and reinforce our desired outcomes. And it creates an environment of manifestation. And affirmative prayer is a way of life for unity, for our unity members, our unity congregants, unity students. As we integrate this practice into our daily lives, individuals can develop a deeper connection with the divine. So, so another practice, and somebody said to me at the beginning of the service, Samuel says to me at the beginning, he says, "Are you going to?" He says, "Are you going to talk about light today?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Good." He said, "We always need more light." And we need more light everywhere, here, but in our daily lives, when we go out, in our personal lives, at work, wherever we're at. So, as a chaplain, we have the ability to use affirmative prayer and also be the light for that person that we're praying for. So we can actually send light from our hearts to that person or to people, anyone that you're praying with, and be a light for them and really acknowledge the divine in that way within that person. Another aspect of providing service and walking each other home is energy healing. And we have done a little bit of that recently here. A friend of mine from Carbondale has been in rehab here. She had a stroke back in November, and she's been in rehab for 3 months. And last Saturday, 3 of us, it was BJ, Deborah, and I went on Saturday morning. We went to her and we did healing energy with her. We did Reiki with her and myofascial release. And she was so appreciative and so grateful. And at the very end, when we were just about done, she got this big smile on her face and her hands just went like this. And it was so beautiful. So we have an ability to provide energy healing to people here. We can do it like before our service. We can do it afterwards. We can have a little space back in the corner of a room. We can use a room in here. But anyone that's interested in receiving healing energy, whether it's Reiki or some other form of treatment or sending light to people, or a short meditation, whatever it is, we are able to provide that to people that are here on Sunday morning. So just let us know. Let us know if you're interested and we can provide that. The next area that we can help to walk people home is we can walk each other home here, but we can go out and walk each other home, walk other people home out in the community by doing outreach. And Unity actually has an outreach program. They actually have training for it. They provide free materials to people and to churches to give out if we're out doing outreach. So what is outreach? When I was, there's all different kinds of ways that you can do outreach. When I was at this other Unity church, this big church, for a short period of time, maybe a couple years, I was the teen ministry coordinator. And one time we took the YOU students to a thrift store that was run by a hospice, and the kids volunteered there. And they just had a really wonderful time, and they got a lot out of it, and they were providing support and outreach for that store and for people that were in hospice that had some kind of terminal illness. So, but here's some other ideas. Small churches like us, we can leverage our connections with the community by going out into the community and letting people know about us and providing services and outreach for people out in the community. So here's an example. Community service days. So we can go out to like nonprofit places like food banks, park cleanups, Habitat for Humanity projects. We can tune into and connect with those organizations and go out and help them and provide services. Judian and I talked about this last night. Neighborhood prayer walks, which is an interesting idea, to be able to go around like in a neighborhood and provide prayer support. Even if you're just going to like a certain area, like maybe an area in Clifton, and you go and yes, and go to that area and just be there and provide support for like a certain neighborhood, which is an idea. So there could even be, we talked about, I had an experience years ago where it was with a church, and it was like a walking potluck. So we went to one house, we did prayer support there. They had food, like maybe they had salad and bread or something. And then we go to the next house, which was in the same neighborhood, and we were able to walk to it. And they had maybe like the main course of the meal. And we did prayer support there for some people and ate the next course of the meal. And then we went to another house, and there was dessert, and we did more prayer support for a different group of people. And it was really very nice. It was fun, and it was such a deep way to connect. So we talked last night about, starting out in Fruta at somebody's house and doing prayer support in that area and eating something, and then coming to Palisade and doing the same thing, and then Clifton, a home in Clifton, and then maybe a neighborhood in the central part of Grand Junction, and planning it out. And different people open up their homes for us to come in, and it could be a potluck where everybody provides a dish. And so just an idea, a fun idea. It would be fun. This one is a possibility. I'm not sure. It may be a little harder to get into schools, to volunteer for like after school programs and things like that. But possibility, especially there's a few of us that have teaching backgrounds. So family and social activities. So game nights, and we have talked about this, having a game night, or game nights on a regular basis, and also movie nights or even movie afternoons where you watch like a spiritual movie and have popcorn and, sparkling water or whatever. Community gardens is another idea, starting a garden where neighbors can grow fruits, vegetables, flowers together. Where I live in Carbondale, there's a community garden. Different people have different little plots of land in the garden to use. Seasonal or holiday events, organizing celebrations around Easter, which is coming up soon, Christmas, Thanksgiving. It can be family activities. At Thanksgiving time at this church that I was at, this Unity Church, there would be a Thanksgiving service, very relaxed, a couch on the stage, and people would share their Thanksgiving experiences or what they were grateful for. And then everybody took their pie to the evening, and the YOU kids would go around and serve slices of pie to everybody afterwards. So So that's kind of a fun idea. Just a few other things, workshops and classes, book study, support groups for grief or addiction recovery, coffee and snack gatherings is an idea. And this brings me once again to being the light. So as we do outreach, we can be the light to those people out in the community. And our light is greatly necessary and appreciated by people as we go out and really provide support. Let's see.
We have a big thing coming up in July, a big workshop retreat kind of thing with Maria Felipe's coming, and she's going to offer two full days. So
Nice.
we're going to make it, we'll be bringing a lot of people in for that.
Nice.
From the community, so.
That's great. That's wonderful. So be the light wherever you are. Be the light here for people. If you're interested in being a prayer chaplain, I am taking a chaplain training in April and May to be a chaplain trainer, and then I'll be able to train chaplains. So if anybody is interested in that, let me know. And we could have our own little chaplain program here. So I challenge you now, this is your challenge, to think of someone that you know or a situation where you can be the light and make a difference by sending light. Of course, I use golden light to that person or situation. Make a difference in how you show up. Make this a challenge for yourself by practicing this every day when you are with someone or when you go out into the world. You can show up for you too. Be the light for yourself as you bring this light within you. This can be during meditation. It can be a regular practice. Be the light more and more for yourself as well as for others. All right. And thank you so much. My blessing to be here with you.